Your camera movement is about to get affordably programmable. We're quickly looking at the Zeapon Axis 120 dual-axis motorized slider system, which is a rather affordable programmable slider with a tilt-pan head combo that can do semi-repeatable camera moves. Zeapon kindly sent out this unit for us to use on this channel. In exchange, we're making a video talking about it. This model is 120 centimeters long, but there are shorter options available. The slider has a weight limit of 12 kilograms if you're using it by itself and in a horizontal position. But if you're using it vertically or with the multi-axis head, it drops down considerably to around 3.5 kilograms. And we have unfortunately found that if you're sitting close to the weight limit, you might notice the occasional wobble. But we have been able to correct it with a warp stabilizer in post. You can power the slider via USB-C, which is really cool. But given its length, this could be a little bit awkward as you'd have to find a way of mounting the USB-C battery to the slider box. But thankfully, you can power the unit with NPF batteries, which is a lot more practical. Nevertheless, we have had a very positive experience using this slider. We've been using it for a lot of the B-roll from our recent videos, and we think it looks pretty good. It's extremely simple to set up, and the process only takes a couple of minutes. Taylor likes controlling it using the app, which has been fantastic and has worked without issue, but my preference is to use the controls on the back of the slider box, which is a little bit more fiddly admittedly, but once you understand how it works, it's pretty simple and tactile. Something worth mentioning is that it takes about 30 seconds for the slider to get from one side to the other at its fastest. And at its slowest, it can take 42 minutes to go from end to end, which is fine, but for some time lapses, it is a bit limiting. Something else to bear in mind is the relatively weak payload capacity when using the pan tilt head or using the slider on an incline. We would like to see this improved in a future model, even if that meant a little bit more noise. Speaking of which, the slider isn't silent, but it is quiet enough, and I don't think it's going to cause any sound issues on set. The bigger issue that we've had with the slider is that it isn't able to do repeatable, precise movements. We originally wanted to film some content where we clone ourselves and make a bit of a scene of it for you, but we quickly discovered that the slider is slightly off every time we did it. This is fine for interviews or generic product B-roll, but not for anything where you need the exact same move repeated multiple times. We do feel that this needs to be fixed with the next revision. The next thing for us is that we don't really love the case that it comes in. It is functional, and we get that they're trying to make it as small and cheap as possible, but it is a little bit too tight and barely fits everything in. We would have preferred it to be slightly bigger, and if they'd given us the option to keep some of the parts built up together rather than having to strip it completely after each use. We should also mention that they are bringing out a focus motor that'll be able to link to the system sometime this year. We don't know much about it, but I'd like to ask Zeapon to try and make sure that it has plenty of torque. A lot of cheaper systems that we've seen struggle with being able to turn the focus wheels on old vintage lenses with gears or slightly tighter greased cine lenses. And given that the objective for this device is for repeatable movements, having high torque is necessary. But that's basically it. This is a very solid motorized slider that's simple to use, long, and affordable. And because of all that, you really can't go wrong, so we do recommend it, with the caveat that you're willing to use it with small cameras and small lenses. We've left a link down in the description to where you can find this online. Let us know if you have any questions, otherwise we'll see you next time.